Good evening, my friends, and welcome to a brand new episode of Terror Radio Podcast. If this is your first time joining me, then welcome. This is the podcast dedicated in bringing you the best of horror and thriller, old-time radio broadcasts, as well as original stories. I'm your host, Keith, aka the Radio Show Nerd, and tonight's episode is entitled Be Back Soon, meaning this is the final episode of season 6. I will be taking a short hiatus, and I will be back on March 1st with a brand new season. And being this is the last episode of the season, instead of 2 radio plays, I will be giving you 5. So, without further ado, this is Terror Radio. The 5 radio series highlighted tonight are Black Mass, Mystery in the Air, Inner Sanctum, Mysterious Traveler, and Escape. Our first radio play is Oil of Dog, and it was first broadcasted on Black Mass, March 4th, 1964. Following that is Beyond Good and Evil, and this was first broadcasted on Mystery in the Air, August 28th, 1947. Following that, The Corpse Nobody Loved, and this was first broadcasted on Inner Sanctum, March 3rd, 1947. After that, Fire in the Sky, which was first broadcasted on Mysterious Traveler, August 28th, 1951. And we conclude with Golden Snake, which was first broadcasted on Escape, April 14th, 1950. So, you all know the drill. Sit back, turn down the lights, and listen to Oil of the Dog, Beyond Good and Evil, The Corpse Nobody Loved, Fire in the Sky, ending with Golden Snake.
Welcome to the Black Mass. Tonight, 2 stories about animals. First, here's a gentleman to tell you about a famous patent medicine known as Oil of Dog by Ambrose Bierce. My name is Buffer Beans. I was born of honest parents in one of the humbler walks of life. My father being a manufacturer of dog oil, and my mother having a small studio in the shadow of the village church, where she disposed of unwelcomed babies. In my boyhood, I was trained to the habits of industry. I not only assisted my father in procuring dogs for his vats, but was frequently employed by my mother to carry away the debris of her work in the studio. In performance of this duty, I sometimes had need of all my natural intelligence, for all the law offices in the vicinity were opposed to my mother's business. They were not elected on an opposition ticket, and the matter had never been made a political issue. It just happened so. My father's business of making dog oil was naturally less unpopular, though the owners of missing dogs sometimes regarded him with suspicion, which was reflected to some extent upon me. My father had as silent partners all the physicians of the town, who seldom wrote a prescription which did not contain what they were pleased to designate as oil of canine. It is really the most valuable medicine ever discovered. But most persons are unwilling to make personal sacrifices for the afflicted. And it was evident that many of the fattest dogs in town had been forbidden to play with me, a fact which pained my young sensibilities, and at one time came near to driving me to be a pirate. Looking back upon those days, I cannot but regret, at times, that by indirectly bringing my beloved parents to their death, I was the author of misfortunes profoundly affecting my future. One evening, while passing my father's oil factory with the body of a foundling from my mother's studio, I saw a constable who seemed to be closely watching my movements. Young as I was, I had learned that a constable's acts of whatever apparent character are prompted by the most reprehensible motives, and I avoided him by dodging into the oilery by a side door which happened to stand ajar. I locked it at once and was alone with my dead. My father had retired for the night. The only light in the place came from the furnace, which glowed a deep, rich crimson under one of the vats, casting ruddy reflections on the wall. Within the cauldron, the oil still rolled in indolent ebullition, occasionally pushing to the surface a piece of dog. Seating myself to wait for the constable to go away, I held the naked body of the foundling in my lap and tenderly stroked its short, silken hair. Ah, how beautiful it was. Even at that early age, I was passionately fond of children. And as I looked upon this cherub, I could almost find it in my heart to wish that the small red wound upon its breast, the work of my dear mother, had not been mortal. It had been my custom to throw the babies into the river, which nature had thoughtfully provided for the purpose. But that night, I did not dare to leave the oilery for fear of the constable. After all, I said to myself, it cannot greatly matter if I put it into this cauldron. My father will never know the bones from that of a puppy. And the few deaths which may result from administering another kind of oil for the incomparable oil of canine are not important in a population which increases so rapidly. In short, I took the first step in crime and brought myself untold sorrow by casting the baby into the cauldron. The next day, somewhat to my surprise, my father rubbed his hands with satisfaction as he reported to my dear mother. Amazing. Simply amazing. What is it, dear? You're absolutely radiant. Do tell us what has happened. Astounding. They said they never saw anything like it. Never saw anything like what, my dear Mr. Bings? The oil. This morning's vats produced the finest quality oil that was ever seen. They all said so. The physicians to whom I showed the samples pronounced it the finest ever. Well, dear, what did you do to improve it so? Do tell us, for heaven's sake. But that's just it. I have no knowledge whatsoever as to how the result was obtained. The dogs were treated in all respects as usual. They were, in fact, of a very ordinary breed. Was that not so, Buffer? Buffer! I deemed it my duty to explain, which I did, though palsied would have been my tongue if I could have foreseen the consequences. Mr. Bings, how very disconcerting that for so long we should have been ignorant of combining our industries. True, Mrs. Bings. And we must take immediate measures to repair our error. Certainly, into a wing of the factory building. Oh, this very evening we shall begin. Oh, Buffer dear, what greater joy might a beloved son bring to his beloved parents than an enterprising mind? And my duties in connection with the business ceased. I was no longer required to dispose of the bodies of the small superfluous, and there was no need of alluring dogs to their doom, for my father discarded them altogether, though they still had an honorable place in the name of the oil. So, suddenly thrown into idleness, I might naturally have been expected to become vicious and dissolute. But I did not. The holy influence of my dear mother was ever about me to protect me from the temptations which beset youth. And my father was a deacon in the church. Ah, alas, that through my fault these estimable persons should have come to so bad an end. Finding a double profit in her business, my mother now devoted herself to it with a new assiduity. She removed not only superfluous and unwelcome babies to order, but went out into the highways and byways, gathering in children of a larger growth, and even such adults as she could entice. My father, too, enamored of the superior quality of oil produced, purveyed for his vats with diligence and zeal. The conversion of their neighbors into dog oil became, in short, the one passion of their lives. An absorbing and overwhelming greed took possession of their souls and served them in place of a hope in heaven. So enterprising have they now become that a public meeting was held. And we are resolved, Mr. and Mrs. Bings, that our censuring must needs be severe if your invasions upon the population continue. We assure you that further raids will be met in a spirit of hostility by one and all. My poor parents left the meeting broken-hearted, and I believe not altogether sane. Anyhow, I deemed it prudent not to enter the oilery with them that night, but slept outside in a stable. About midnight, some mysterious impulse caused me to sneak through an open window into the furnace room, where I knew my father slept now. The fires were burning as brightly as if the following day's harvest was expected to be abundant. One of the large cauldrons was slowly walloping with a mysterious appearance of self-restraint, as if it bided its time to put forth its full energy. And my father was not in bed. He had risen in his nightclothes and was preparing a noose in a strong cord. From the looks which he cast at the door of my mother's bedroom, I knew too well the purpose he had in mind. Speechless and motionless with terror, I could do nothing in prevention or warning. Suddenly, the door of my mother's apartment was opened, noiselessly, and the two confronted each other, both apparently surprised. The lady also was in her nightclothes, and she held in her right hand the tool of her trade, a long, narrow-bladed dagger. For one instant, they looked into each other's blazing eyes, and then sprang together in indescribable fury. Round and round the room they struggled, the man cursing, the woman shrieking, both fighting like demons. She to strike him with the dagger, he to strangle her with his bare hands. I know not how long I had the unhappiness to observe this disagreeable instance of domestic infelicity. But at last, after a more than usual vigorous struggle, the combatants suddenly moved apart. My father's breast and my mother's weapon showed evidences of contact. For another instant, they glared at each other in the most unamiable way. Then, my poor wounded father, feeling the hand of death upon him, leaped forward, unmindful of resistance, grasped my dear mother in his arms, dragged her to the side of the boiling cauldron, collected all his failing energy, and sprang in with her. In a moment, both had disappeared, and were adding their oil to that of the committee of citizens who had called the day before with an invitation to the public meeting. convinced that these unhappy events closed to me every avenue of an honorable career in that town, I removed to the famous city of Myuu, where these memoirs are written with a heart full of remorse for a heedless act entailing so dismal a commercial disaster. Oil of Dog by Ambrose Bierce. And now, a story by Saki about two lady horsemen and a hyena.
They say that all hunting stories are the same, but my hunting story isn't a bit like any you've ever heard. It happened quite a while ago. All the usual crowd were at the meet, especially Constance Broder. Constance is one of those strapping, florid girls that go well with autumn scenery or Christmas decorations in church.
I have a presentiment that something dreadful is going to happen. Am I looking pale?
Oh, you're looking nicer than usual. But that's so easy for you, dear. Constance and I were well mounted, and we had no difficulty in keeping ourselves in the first flight, though it was a fairly stiff run. Towards the finish, however, we must have held rather too independent a line, for we lost the hounds and found ourselves plodding aimlessly along miles from anywhere. It was fairly exasperating, and my temper was beginning to let itself go by inches when suddenly...
There they go at last. But what in heaven's name are they hunting?
Well, apparently it's not a fox.
No mortal fox. It's twice as high. And what an ugly small head. And its neck, enormous and thick.
It's a hyena. That's what it is. It must have escaped from Lord Fathom's park.
A hyena?
Yes, and it's probably tame. Look, the dogs don't know what to do about it.
Oh, dear. They're running off.
The hyena hailed our approach with unmistakable relief and demonstrations of friendliness.
What are we to do? It's getting dark.
What a person you are for questions, my dear.
Well, we can't stay here all night with a hyena.
I shouldn't think of staying here all night, even without a hyena. We had better make for that ridge of trees to the right. I imagine the highway is just beyond.
I hope it is. What on earth are we to do with the hyena?
What does one generally do with hyenas?
Well, I've never had anything to do with one before.
Well, neither have I. If we knew its sex, we might give it a name. Perhaps we might call it Esme. That would do in either case.
Esme?
Here, Esme. Come along. Come along. There must be a gypsy encampment nearby.
Gypsies? Why do you say that?
We just passed a baby, a half-naked gypsy brat.
What was he doing there?
Picking blackberries, obviously. There. Esme has probably frightened it. Esme? Esme? Come along here. Esme! What have you got there? Esme? Esme? Put down that baby! Esme!
Merciful heavens, Baroness! What on earth shall we do? What are we to do?
Constance, I am perfectly certain that at the last judgment you will ask more questions than the examining ferrets. Esme, down. Down, Esme.
Can't we do something?
Esme? If you don't put that baby down, I'll thrash you with this whip.
It's running off with the baby into the bushes.
Esme! Esme!
Horrible! Horrible!
Well, Constance, I really don't know what more I can do. We'd best get along. Esme can catch up. Come along.
Do you think the poor little thing suffered much?
Well, the indications were all that way, my dear. Ah, we are saved. There's the highway.
Where?
Up ahead. Didn't you hear the car? There's another. Ah, here comes Esme. There, Esme. Naughty. You're a naughty hyena.
How can you let that ravening beast trot by your side? Oh, dear. What is it hanging from his mouth?
I can't quite tell, dear. Now pay attention. There's the road ahead. Don't run ahead, Esme. The cars won't be able to see you at this hour. Esme, hold. Stay with us. Oh, the silly animal.
Well, I don't think we should worry about that beast.
No, I dare say he can fend for himself. Oh, Esme, what did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Ladies, was this your dog? I'm dreadfully sorry.
You have killed my Esme.
I'm so awfully sorry. I keep dogs myself, so I know what you must feel about it. I'll do anything I can in reparation, anything at all.
Please bury him at once. That much I think I may ask of you.
Certainly, at once, madam. William, bring the spade. No, the spade, William. I saw. What a magnificent fellow. I'm afraid he must have been rather a valuable animal.
Well, he took second in the puppy class at Birmingham last year. Oh, don't cry, dear. It was all over in a moment, I'm sure. He couldn't have suffered much.
Oh, look here. You simply must let me do something in reparation.
I couldn't think of it.
But I insist.
No, I
insist.
couldn't think of it. But as he persisted, I let him have my address. Lord Pebham never advertised the loss of his hyena. When a strictly fruit-eating animal strayed from his park a year or two previously, he was called upon to give compensation in 11 cases of sheep worrying and practically to restock his neighbor's poultry yards. And an escaped hyena would have mounted up to something on the scale of a governmental grant. The gypsies were equally unobtrusive over their missing offspring. I don't suppose in large encampments they really know to a child or two how many they've got. There was a sequel to the adventure, though. I got through the post a charming little diamond brooch with the name Esme set in a sprig of rosemary. Incidentally, too, I lost the friendship of Constance Brodel. You see, when I sold the brooch, I quite properly refused to give her any share of the proceeds. I pointed out that the Esme part of the affair was my own invention, and the hyena part of it belonged to Lord Pebham, if it really was his hyena, of which, of course, I've no proof.
That was Esme by Saki. The part of the two ladies was played by Pat Franklin. The motorist was Bernard Mays. The hyena was played by himself. In Oil of Dog, the first of our two stories this evening, the family was variously performed by your host of the Black Mass, Eric Bowersfeld. The technical production was by John Whiting. And now, good night.
Mystery in the Air, starring Peter Lorre, presented by Camel Cigarettes.
This, dear friends, was the man Philip Gentry, or Reverend Pierce, or whatever other name he may choose in eternity. The man whom we bury today. That night when he stood above my bed, pouring defiance and bitterness into my ears, thinking that I was paralyzed, I could both speak and write. My paralysis had been gone for many days. But I did not speak, because I knew what Philip Gentry would do, what he had to do, criminal and murderer though he was.
Each week at this hour, Peter Lorre brings us the excitement of the great stories of the strange and unusual, of dark and compelling masterpieces culled from the four corners of world literature.
Tonight, Beyond Good and Evil, starring Peter Lorre, brought to you by Camel Cigarettes. Experience is the best teacher. Try a Camel. Let your own experience tell you why more people are smoking Camels than ever before. Yes, try a Camel. Let your T-zone decide. That's T for taste and T for throat, your proving ground for any cigarette. Let your T-zone decide if Camel's rich, full flavor and cool mildness aren't just made to order for enjoyment. Yes, try a Camel. And be sure to have a carton of Camels on hand for the long weekend coming up.
Why, Reverend Pierce.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Lucy. Is Reverend McKillop still awake?
Oh, yes. We don't put him to bed until 8 or later. Is evening service over already?
Is it over? Shame on you, Lucy, a parson's daughter, and you forget there is no service on Wednesdays.
Of course. You've come to read to Father.
Well, there's so little I can do. If he were able to let us know in some way.
I can tell by his eyes. Whenever you're here, they fairly glow.
Oh, I suppose that helpless as he is, not able to speak or even to write, my visits are at least a diversion.
You're much more than a diversion. You're his hope.
No, Lucy. The Lord is his hope.
Oh, yes.
The Lord struck him down with paralysis, and in time the Lord will surely free him from it. Well, I'll go in and try to cheer him up. Good evening, Reverend McKillop. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Yes, McKillop, you hang on my every word, and you never talk back. You never have, except once, and after tonight you won't get the chance. Huh? Speak up, Reverend, why don't you? No, of course, the cat's got your tongue, huh? Yes, tonight is your last chance, Reverend. Tonight is the consummation, finish, the end, Act 3 curtain on a great play about death and redemption, about good and evil. And I won't shrink from your eyes, McKillop, see? Your eyes can't kill, but I can kill. I have the mind and the will and the hands. I've killed one man, that you know. And tonight I'm going to kill again. Yes, Reverend McKillop, you know who I was before I became the Reverend Howard Pierce, pastor of this good and godly community. And you know my real name. It's Philip Gentry, but you never knew the soul of Philip Gentry, the contempt, the sum of evil that was in me that night it all began. Yes, it's now 3 months ago. What a stormy night. I was crouching in a swamp with a man named Mac, because we had just escaped from prison, hiding like animals in the deep mud and ooze, alien from the whole entire human race.
Gentry, where are you going?
To the highway, you idiot. Got to make time before daylight, before the rain stops. They'll bring out the bloodhounds in the morning.
Yeah, okay, you're the boss.
There's the highway now, there, beyond the fence.
Well, so what do we do now? Where do we go?
It's played up. I'll meet you in Chicago later.
At Gus's place?
Yes, at Gus's place in 2 or 3 weeks, when the manhunt cools off.
You won't let me down, will you, Gentry?
I said I'll meet you. Now get moving. Go on, faster. I walked a mile, and then I saw a car. It was parked close to the edge of the road. Its headlights almost blacked out by the rain. And then, by the glow of what I knew was a flashlight, I saw a man bending into the rain, struggling to change a tire. He was alone, so I walked up to him. Hello. Need help?
Oh, you startled me.
I'm sorry.
I didn't expect to see anyone this late.
Picked a bad night for a flat.
Yes, and it's the second today. I'm going to be awfully late.
Here, come on, let me help.
Oh, no, thank you. But if you would hold the light.
Oh, sure. Come a long way?
Yes, from Detroit. I'm on my way to Carlton. I was
Carlton.
supposed to get there this afternoon. I'm the new minister there. My name's Pierce.
Didn't notice you were a preacher.
Yes, I'm taking over for old Reverend McKillop at Grace Church.
Reverend
He's
McKillop,
been in bad health, so I'm taking his place. Yes. Oh, my, this boat is stubborn. I can't seem to get it to...
Come on, let me have the wrench.
No, really. Just hold the light.
I said give me the wrench.
Well, all right. It's awfully good of you.
Come on, give it to me.
No, wait.
I need
wait, what are you doing?
car, Reverend Pierce.
No,
You're
please.
going to be eaten later than you thought.
Oh.
Be quiet, you! I hit him twice, and I can't tell you now, Reverend McKillop, what I thought when that wrench bit into flesh and bone. Oh, I swear to you that it was not my intention to kill, and yet I did. I killed, yes. When I put my hand on his chest, the heart had stopped, and the Reverend Howard Pierce was dead. Yes, Reverend Pierce was dead. Very dead, so I buried him. I buried him in my prison clothes, and soon I was dressed in his clothes. Oh, I had on his decent black and turned around collar, and I was rolling this way. And at the city limits of Carlton, my own destiny stepped in. I was stopped by a traffic cop.
Let me see your license, buddy.
A license? Oh, yeah, Here it is.
Howard Pierce. Occupation. Oh, minister. I didn't notice.
Well, what is it, officer? Was I speeding?
No, we're checking all cars on this road. There was a break at the state pen. 2 prisoners escaped.
Yes.
They might come this way.
I see.
But I won't hold you up any longer, Reverend. You going far?
Oh, no, Carlton.
Well, say, this is Carlton.
It is? Oh, yes, there's the sign.
Say, I get it. Imagine me not catching on right away.
Catching on?
Sure, you must be the new preacher for Grace Church.
Oh, yes, I am.
Well, I'm Charlie Owen. I sing in the Grace Church choir, baritone. You going to the parsonage now?
Yes, I was.
Well, it's a little tricky finding it. I'm going into headquarters now, and I have to go right by Reverend McKillop's house.
Oh, that's nice.
You follow me.
Thank you, son. It's very nice of you.
Hello there, Lucy.
Why, hello, Charlie.
Guess who I'm delivering to you? It's Reverend Pierce. He's just getting out of the car. Who are you expecting, Lucy? The boyfriend?
You mean my fiancé, Mr. Tom Hubbard?
When are you two going to get married anyway? You know, everybody in... Oh, here's Reverend Pierce. Reverend Pierce, here's Lucy, Reverend McKillop's daughter.
How do you do?
Oh, come in, Reverend Pierce. Father and I have been so worried. We expected you all afternoon.
Oh, I had 2 flat tires.
Oh, what a shame. Well, Father's waiting up for you in his study. Father, Charlie Owen brought Reverend Pierce.
Reverend Pierce? Well, come in, come in. You and Mr. Owen wait outside for a few minutes, Lucy.
All right,
Sure,
Father.
sir. Sit over here, Reverend Pierce.
Thank you, sir.
I can't tell you how relieved I am to see you. I really couldn't bring myself to sleep tonight without first talking to you. You see, the situation's serious.
Serious? Why, Reverend?
My health. I'm a sick man. I've had 1 stroke, as I wrote you.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
Well, I could have another one at any time.
Okay.
The doctor says a worse one. And I feel it essential that the work of the parish should be in firm hands. This parish needs a young man.
Why, I hope to be of service, sir.
I've heard only good of you, Reverend Pierce.
Thank you.
And you know you're even younger than you look.
Really?
In the picture you sent. Darker, too. Your hair.
I'm afraid it wasn't a very good liking.
I have the picture here somewhere on my desk with your letters.
What did you want to talk to me about, Reverend McKillop?
Oh, all the work of the parish. Oh, yes, here's the photograph. It's,
Something
Reverend
wrong,
Pierce.
Reverend McKillop?
It's not... Who are you?
Not what?
This isn't your picture. Who are you?
I don't think that should interest you. It's
Something's happened, Reverend Pierce.
McKillop.
What did you do to him? You're...
What do you think I did, Reverend McKillop, huh? Come on, go on, guess. Guess, don't you hear me? Come on, don't you play with me, you sanctimonious fool. You... Come on, speak up. Speak up. What's the matter with you? Oh, don't tell me you had another stroke, huh? That's right. You can't speak, huh? Is that it? Well, I'll find out. In any case, I'll take that picture, Reverend McKillop, and now if you don't...
Reverend Pierce, we thought...
Yes, Lucy, something has happened to your father. We were talking and...
Is it?
Yes, I'm afraid it's another stroke. He can't speak, and apparently he can't move.
Father, what can we do?
Lucy, we'll have to wait for the doctor and maybe even then.
I know. The doctor said he could be paralyzed for months, years. And he mustn't die.
No. If we have faith, the Lord will spare him. And until the good Lord returns his health, I'll try to shepherd his flock. Yes, and since that first time, Reverend McKillop, you've never opened your mouth again. Oh, you can stare, yes. Stare as hard as you want. That doesn't bother me, because your stare cannot kill. But I, as you know, I can. And I will, Reverend McKillop.
In a few moments, Mr. Peter Lorre will bring us the climax of tonight's Mystery in the Air, when camels present Act 2 of Beyond Good and...
Ask a sports champ in any field what helped him most toward success, and he'll probably say experience. Yes, experience is the best teacher. Take bronc riding champ Jerry Ambler. His most recently won sports crown is the Saddle Bronc Championship of the World. Experience? Why, say, Jerry's been riding broncs for 18 years. Yes, as he recently said,
experience is the best teacher, in bronc riding and in smoking, too. A cigarette for me is Camel.
And there, Jerry's like thousands and thousands of other cigarette smokers who smoked just about all the different brands during the wartime cigarette shortage. Well, experience like that was bound to make people experts in judging the differences in cigarette quality. And on the basis of that experience, thousands and thousands of people decided they liked Camels best. Yes, they learned that for rich, full flavor and cool mildness, the cigarette for them is Camel. As a result,
more people are smoking Camels than ever before.
Experience is the best teacher. Try a Camel yourself.
Reverend McKillop, aging, paralyzed, unable to speak, listens helplessly as Philip Gentry, criminal and murderer, explains why he killed Reverend Pierce and assumed Pierce's clothes and identity, and describes his first sermon.
And so, in conclusion, dear friends, remember the agony of our Lord was shared by 2 thieves, and they were crucified beside him that he might be numbered among the transgressors. And remember his words to one, verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Now we will sing hymn 426, Just As I Am, Without One Plea. That was my first sermon, Reverend McKillop. Oh, I saw your eyes when Lucy told you how deeply moved the congregation was. Oh, you couldn't understand. You just couldn't how such a thing could be done without faith. Oh, but I've been a lawyer, and I've done a lot without faith. Yes, I've been the ideal parson you were looking for. I wish you could ask young Hubbard. You don't know he called on me, huh?
Reverend Pierce?
Yes?
I missed your first service, Reverend. I thought I ought to pay you a call. My name's Hubbard.
Oh, yes, I know. You're in the choir. Come on. Come in, Mr. Hubbard. Make yourself comfortable.
Oh, thank you.
What's your business, Mr. Hubbard?
I work at the bank. I'm chief teller.
Chief teller, huh? A very responsible job for a young man like you.
I suppose it is, but I don't have much more responsibility than the other tellers, except at the end of the month.
Oh.
Then it's a strain.
End of the month? Why?
Well, sure. That's when I have to...
Yes?
You know, I've never told anyone about this.
Please.
So even with you...
Well, if it's confidential.
Well, no, naturally not so far as you're concerned, Reverend Pierce. You see, the 30th of the month, we move all our deposits to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Yes.
$200,000 or more. So you can see how I wouldn't want some people to know that.
You mean you have to take the deposits alone?
Oh, no. Gosh, no, that'd be even worse than it is. No, there's an armored truck that comes to take the money.
Surely the bank takes adequate precautions.
Well, I have a gun, and there's an alarm system, but...
You see.
Well, the thing is, I'm all alone. Huh? Sometimes when I'm sitting there at my desk, I think how easy it would be.
Why?
Well, all somebody would have to do is shoot me through the glass door. Even if the alarm rang, it would be 10 minutes before the police got there.
Oh, Mr. Hubbard, after all, it's a very quiet community, no?
Well, I guess that's what the directors of the bank figure.
Only possible danger I can see would be from too many people knowing what you've told me. I mean, wrong people. You say you don't talk, so...
Oh, no. No, Reverend Pierce. I've never told a soul except you.
See, that's faith, McKillop. I see I did a lot without faith, but not without faith in my own shining destiny. Imagine, out of all his communities, 35,000 people, Hubbard picked me to share his secret. He even told me the truck didn't come for the money until 9:30 at night. As soon as Hubbard had gone, I wrote a letter to Mac. You remember, I told Mac to wait for me in Chicago, and in that letter, I explained the setup, and I asked him to be at the bank at 9 p.m. on the 30th. Well, and in the meantime, I continued to play my saintly part. It was easy. Warmed by adulation, warmed by love, yes, love. Because even you could see what was happening to your daughter. Your own very beautiful daughter. Lucy, yes, she fell in love with me. And believe me, Lucy was a great help to me, blinded by what she called love. If I made a slip, she was there to help me cover up. And what did I feel? Love? Well, Lucy, as long as the word love served me, I used it. But last week, on Wednesday, when I came in the evening to read to you, I suddenly realized it could also be a source of great danger.
Oh, Howard, darling. You're all I've waited for all day.
Let me look at you, Lucy. Say you look so happy.
Howard, I've the most wonderful news. Guess.
How can I guess?
Well, I've never breathed a word to Father about us. You and me, because you asked me not to. Not until he can talk to us and give us his blessing. No, not yet, I haven't, but the doctor was here today.
Yes?
And he told me Father will speak again soon, any day now.
Well.
Doctor doesn't know why he hasn't already. Oh, Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, yes, it is.
Howard, what's the matter?
Nothing is the matter.
Well, there is, I can see.
Well, look, Lucia, I was going to tell you before. You see, I can't marry you. Not ever.
You can't?
Please, don't ask me why.
It's because you don't love me.
Believe me, Lucy, you just have to go on and live your life as if you'd never met me.
As if I'd never met you. You know what that means?
Whatever it means.
It means I'll marry Tom Hubbard and you'll perform the service.
Yes.
You'll be the one to make me Mrs. Tom Hubbard.
Mrs. who? Who did you say?
Tom Hubbard. I'll be a banker's wife.
What? Never knew his name before. Well, no matter what you think, Lucy, I'm sure you'll be happy. I have to go in and see your father now, Lucy, and try to be brave, will you? Good evening, Reverend McKillop. Oh, you poor, voiceless, brainless, harmless old Reverend McKillop. I hear you may be able to talk again, yes. I hear someday you're going to speak. Well, I have only 1 week to wait, that's all. 1 week, but you are a danger. Therefore, I ought to kill you, Reverend. I ought to kill you now. Oh, don't ask me why I didn't kill you, Reverend McKillop. I suppose it will always be distasteful to me. It's a job for cruder minds, and if it happens that my neat habits turn in a good deed now and then, that doesn't make me a Boy Scout, does it? I might not like to think of Lucy, only 2 days married, so soon to be a widow, so soon in half an hour, yes, because in half an hour, Mac is going to shoot Tom Hubbard as he sits at his desk. And in half an hour, I'll have $200,000, and I'll be free, you hear? Well, Reverend, now that you know the real Philip Gentry, do you understand? Do you? No, I doubt it. I doubt if you, with your good book and your years of tending the good sheep in the rich green pastures here, could ever understand 1/10 of what a man like me feels. Doesn't matter. I don't need your understanding. I don't. Good night, Reverend, and sleep well.
Who is it?
It's me, Reverend Pierce, Tom.
Oh,
let me in.
Reverend Pierce, just a minute. I wanted to make sure. You see, this is the night when the truck comes.
Yes, I remember. That's how I knew where to find you.
Oh. Well, did you want something?
Yes. Lucy's feeling sick. I came to send you home.
Lucy? But I can't. I have to stay.
I can stay for you.
Gee, I don't know. I'm supposed to stay until the truck gets here.
Lucy's calling for you, Tom.
She's really sick?
Yes.
Well, all right. I guess with you here, it'll be all right.
Just tell me what to do.
Well, that's the money right there, already in those sacks.
Yes. I sit here?
Yeah, right at this desk. Gee, I don't know what the directors will think.
Come on, run along, Tom. They'll never know. Even if someone walks by from the outside, they'll never know if it's you or me sitting here.
To the head. Gotta have the money ready.
Mac.
Hear him.
Mac.
Huh? Who's there?
Come here, Mac. Come here.
Gentry.
Yes, it's me.
But,
Mac.
But something screwy. You said in your letter that...
No. I didn't have a chance to tell you. The plans were changed.
Oh, Gentry. Honest, Gentry. I didn't mean to shoot...
know. Look, you better go. I'm dying, man.
I ain't gonna leave you here, Gentry. What do you think?
Yes, you are going to leave me. They won't get me, Mac. I'm dying. You go on now. Only you won't be able to take the money. The plan is all changed.
Yeah, okay. That doesn't matter, the money.
Remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom.
Hey,
Hey, what are you talking about, Gentry?
It's from the Bible, Mac. You wouldn't know it. It's from the Bible. Yes. It was said by a thief.
This, dear friends, was the man Philip Gentry, or Reverend Pierce, or whatever other name he may choose in eternity. The man whom we bury today. That night when he stood above my bed, pouring defiance and bitterness into my ears, thinking I was paralyzed, I could both speak and write. My paralysis had been gone for many days. But I did not speak, because I knew what Philip Gentry would do, what he had to do. I knew what he denied, that to accomplish work as he had in God's vineyard, a man must have faith, even though he deny that faith. That is why, in spite of all, he protected my daughter's happiness. That is why he could not kill me. For the work he did here had molded him, in spite of himself, into a man who is truly a servant of God. To such a man our Lord would say, "Verily I say unto you, today shalt thou be with me in paradise."
Each week, the makers of Camel cigarettes send free Camels to servicemen's hospitals from coast to coast. This week, the Camels go to Veterans Hospital, Wood, Wisconsin, USAAF Station Hospital, Langley Field, Hampton, Virginia, U.S. Naval Hospital, Memphis, Tennessee, U.S. Marine Hospital, Cleveland, Ohio, and Veterans Hospital, Aspinwall, Pennsylvania.
More people are smoking Camels than ever before, and many of those people are doctors. When 3 leading independent research organizations asked 113,597 doctors, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" the brand named most was Camel.
According to a nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Next week, Mystery in the Air, starring Mr. Peter Lorre, brings you The Mask of Medusa by Nelson Bond, with a special musical score composed and conducted by Paul Barron.
Why do you smoke a pipe? For pleasure, of course. Then get the tobacco especially made for smoking pleasure, Prince Albert. Ask for mellow, mild Prince Albert the next time you buy tobacco for your pipe. And the extra pleasure you'll enjoy will tell you why more pipes smoke PA than any other tobacco. Prince Albert's choice tobacco is specially treated to ensure against tongue bite. Crimp cut to burn slow, smoke cool. Ask for Prince Albert. See if Prince Albert doesn't give you more pipe enjoyment. Listen in on Prince Albert's Grand Ole Opry Saturday night for a half hour of folk music and laughs, with Red Foley and his Cumberland Valley Boys, Minnie Pearl, the gossip from Grinder Switch, Rod Brassfield, and the rest of the Opry gang. And as Red's special guests, you'll hear Cowboy Copus and Barefoot Brownie. Remember, Prince Albert's Grand Ole Opry, Saturday night, over NBC. Listen again next week at this same time when the makers of Camel cigarettes present Mr. Peter Lorre in Mystery in the Air. The artists supporting Mr. Lorre tonight were Henry Morgan as the voice of Mystery, Peggy Weber as Lucy, John Brown as Reverend McKillop, Howard Culver as Mac, Jack Edwards Jr. as Hubbard, and Russell Thorson as Reverend Pierce. This is Michael Roy in Hollywood wishing you a pleasant good night for Camel.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Inner Sanctum Mysteries. Good evening, friends. This is your host to welcome you through the creaking door into the inner sanctum. Come in. Say, how about joining our Shriek of the Month Club? We're offering free a shroud-bound copy of Die Alone and Like It. It's about an unsuccessful authoress who dies of marital illness. Yes, her husband got sick of her. However, he was thoughtful enough to bury his novelist wife in the basement. And now, at last, she's in the bestseller class. And now for tonight's gruesome little item. Oh, you better not disturb that fellow in the corner. He's our ghost of honor tonight. Poor guy. He died last night for lack of sleep. Now he's in for a wake. Meet John Thompson, age 29, driving a blue coupe across the George Washington Bridge, heading west.
It's kind of a close night. Heat lightning is dancing up in the sky when I come down off the bridge into Jersey. Running a mobile gas station isn't bad when things are breaking right. But the way things are, I figure I'll do better out west. I hit the highway and let her out of it. I spot her a few miles past the bridge. She's standing there by the side of the road, out in the middle of nothing. I don't know exactly why, but I stopped. Want a lift?
Thanks.
Now, hop in. Going far?
Not very.
Well, yell when you want me to leave you off, huh? My name's Thompson. John Thompson.
Hello, Johnny.
Yeah. Hello. What's your name?
Anne.
Where in particular are you heading for?
I don't know.
But...
I'll know when we get there.
Yeah, sure. Look, this ain't the old routine, but you look like I kind of know you from someplace.
Do I?
I don't remember from where or when, but your face... maybe just reminds me of somebody I used to know. Don't anymore.
Maybe.
You don't remember me, huh?
Should I, Johnny?
Well, it would be kind of more sociable.
I'll try, Johnny.
We go on like that for a couple of 3 miles. Her not saying anything and me sneaking looks at her. She's pretty young and nice to have next to you, but there's this feeling that I ought to know her and don't. And I get to wondering where she's going in the middle of the night. Hey, Ann.
Yes, Johnny.
Maybe we can get some music. The knob for turning on the radio is over on your side. See it?
All right.
They got these all-night programs for people like us, you know, driving at night or jockeying a truck or sitting up with a sick friend.
Our next request number just phoned in this minute by a young lady named Anne. Well, we can't make out your last name, Anne, but anyway, Lou's going right ahead and play it for you. Lou White at the piano, playing Stardust.
He plays a nice piano, huh?
Very nice.
Kind of funny, a girl with the same name as yours just phoning in to the show and we started listening to her. I mean, with the same first name.
Is it?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a coincidence.
I like Stardust.
Maybe you better try another station.
Why? I like Stardust.
Yeah, but get another station.
I'm happy with this one.
Get another station or turn the set off. I don't care which. Do what I'm telling you.
Why?
Don't ask me why. I can't take that music. It bothers me. Now, will you please?
No.
I said, will you please turn it off?
No.
Look, it's my car. It's my radio. I want you to... Oh, never mind. I'll turn it off myself.
You better watch the road. You might have an accident.
I'll turn it off myself. And I'll let go of my hand.
No, I don't want you to turn it off.
Let go. I got to keep my other hand on the wheel.
I won't let go. I want you to listen to Stardust. I like it.
But I don't. I'm warning you.
Very pretty.
All right. This is what you wanted. I told you to turn it off.
You let go of the wheel.
You wouldn't listen to me. No. No, it's too late. Anne! It's all black for a while, and then there were streaks of light through the blackness. I shook my head. I was conscious again. I'd slid forward under the wheel, and the car hit the tree. Pulled myself up, got out of the car. Look, it wasn't damaged bad. The bumper had taken most of the shock when we hit. One fender was crumpled. And then I remembered. Anne. She was dead, I knew. I felt her neck give before we crashed. I swallowed hard for a couple of seconds and went back to the car. Looked in. She wasn't there. She wasn't anywhere near the car. She hadn't been thrown clear. She must be dead. Still, she wasn't there, not anywhere. I drove away. Fast. My head don't feel so good, but I stop thinking as I go through the night. I do puzzles and arithmetic, multiplication. 49 times 76, 102 times 27, so I won't think. But not thinking isn't easy when you're alone, so when I see a diner, I think that's for me. And I stop and get out. I walk over to the diner. The air's still heavy and the crickets are raising Cain. I go in.
Well, what'll be, mister?
Job and a hamburger.
Sure. Coming up.
Yeah, it's a hot night, ain't it?
Huh? Oh, I didn't notice you sitting next to me. Yeah, it's plenty hot.
You're driving a nice car. Yeah, I noticed you pulling in.
That's all right.
Here you are.
Yeah, it's good.
Say, Joe, I was wondering, you going far?
Well, far enough.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. West?
Uh-huh.
How about me riding with you for a bit? My feet are getting awful tired holding me up.
Well, sure, I guess so.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I could use a bit of company for such...
Hey, you dropped your coffee.
I'm sorry. Did I get any of it on you?
No, you missed, but your hands are trembling.
Well, I'm tired. Come on, let's get out of here. Hey, that'll take care of my check.
But, hey, you ain't finished your hamburger.
I'm not hungry.
Well, you mind if I work it over?
No, of course not. Only let's get out of here.
Sure is a dark night, huh?
Hurry up, will you?
Yeah. Dark enough to hide a corpse in.
So, what did you mean back there by dark enough to hide a corpse in?
Nothing. Just an expression. Why?
It seemed like a funny thing to say.
I don't think so. Hey, you better slow down. We're going through a town.
It's deserted this hour of night.
No, it ain't. Look at that, down near the corner.
Where?
You seen her, huh? Standing under that lamppost? Pretty as a picture, ain't she? Hey, slow down, will you? Maybe she wants a lift.
You're crazy.
Well, look, she's giving us the thumb. We're going to pass her in a minute.
Now, don't bother me.
Yeah, but... Hey, she's calling you. She knows you. You can't pass up a girl like that.
Will you shut up?
I don't get it. You was willing to give a hobo like me a lift, and you don't even know me. You know that
She's
girl.
not there. She can't be.
Well, you'd seen her.
No.
You looked where I was pointing. You heard her.
No. All right, yes, I did, but she's not real. She couldn't be.
Why?
She's dead.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because I saw her die.
Yeah?
Yeah, in an accident. 100 miles from here.
Well, then what was she doing under that lamppost?
I don't know. Maybe it's a ghost. Maybe I'm going crazy.
I seen her.
Then maybe you're dead, too. And the ghost riding with me. Well, look at you. Chips off an old block of ice.
Splinters from the petrified forest. Or are you always that way? Oh, you're not really frightened. Just pretending, huh? Well, then suppose you climb down off that chandelier and listen to the rest of the story about John Thompson, who took a girl for a boogie ride. John and the bum he'd picked up rode on for a while in silence. Night was closer and heavier, and John was tired.
Hey, watch it, will you?
Oh, sorry. I closed my eyes for a second.
Well, you better keep them open. It's healthier.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of pooped. It's been a long night.
That chatter about ghosts,
Yeah?
how come?
Oh, I was kidding.
You were, huh? It wouldn't be because...
How would you like to get out?
I'd like it fine. I get nervous riding with a guy who turns green when you mention corpses. Hey, watch that bridge! Hey, you nearly dunked us in that stream.
I can't keep my eyes open. What if I wash my face? Bathe my eyes with cold water?
Yeah, that's an idea.
You can stay in the car. I'll only be a couple of seconds.
No, I'll go along. I could use a drink.
That water looks good. Dark, peaceful. You know, you could sleep in water like that.
Yeah, sure, but you wouldn't wake up. Go on, wash.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Too swell.
Sure.
Cold. It's good.
Uh-huh. Good for what ails you. But what does ail you, mister?
Nothing. I'm tired, that's all. Getting sleepy. I'm better now.
Okay.
Well, let's get back to the car.
I'm walking the rest of the way.
What?
Yeah.
But
I want to get there.
There's nothing wrong with my driving.
I didn't say there was, mister. But are you sure there ain't something wrong with you?
All right. Walk. I don't need anybody to ride with.
No, mister. You already got somebody or something riding with you.
So I walked back to the car. Get in. I don't pay no attention, the old bum said. Nothing wrong with me. Nothing. Start the car and drive off. Down the highway into the darkness. It's a long night. Maybe the longest night I ever lived. But it's only night someplace, west of New York, and that's all. The storm hanging overhead and never breaking. That's all.
Hello, Johnny.
It's her. Sitting right next to me. When she saw me looking at her, she smiled.
Hello, Johnny.
Oh. I didn't expect to see you again.
No, Johnny?
Oh, I left you so far behind.
Not so far behind.
Yeah, but I guess you must have got a list on some other car, faster car than mine, huh? That's how you got ahead of me.
Way ahead of you, Johnny.
Yeah, that's the way it was. Sure. You're all right, though.
I'm all right. Very all right.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, funny, isn't it? The rain's still holding off. You know, I could have sworn it poured hours ago.
Why are you talking so much, Johnny?
Because I'm afraid,
When will we get there, Johnny?
Get where?
Where you're going.
I don't know. Why?
Because I'm going there with you.
Oh. Back again. That song's back again. I don't have to take it. I can't take it. She ought to sing that song. I told her I didn't like it. I'm not going to tell her again. It won't do any good. This time I'm going to play it smart and sure. She's looking straight ahead, watching the road slide under the headlights. So I choked the car. Hey!
What is it, Johnny?
motors. Oh, there'd be something wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, I better get out and see.
I'll wait here.
Sure. Get the hood up. Mm-hmm. And
Yes?
I can fix it, but will you bring me the wrench?
Where is it?
In the dashboard compartment.
All right. I got it, Johnny.
Swell. Will you bring it to me?
Here it is, Johnny.
Thanks. Now all I have to do is... Hey, what's that behind you?
Where?
Well, turn around. You'll see.
All right.
So she turns her back to me, looks down the road we came, and I lift the heavy wrench. And I... This time I made sure. She's dead, lying on the road. But I still got to make sure she won't, even dead, be riding with me again. So I lift her up, put her back in the car. Get in myself next to her. Yeah, start the car up. I remember the stream. It's not much of a stream, but deep enough for a thin girl to lie in. That's where I go. It don't take long to get back to the stream, the bridge over, which is where I stop. Nobody around. Only the darkness and the water flowing underneath, where Ann is going to lie. But before I let her go, I dig out my tools. Tire iron, wrenches, a jack, heavy stuff. Tie them to her so she'll lie quiet under the water. When I get done. She's heavy now. Heavier than she ever was before. But I lift her over the rail and hold her for a second in my arms, and then I let her go. She drops quick and not awful loud into the water. Drops to the bottom of the stream, where maybe it'll be soft and cool for her. And I gotta get away from here fast. Fast! Every time the wheel turns around, every time the valves open and close, every time the sparks fire, I'm getting further away from her. This time she isn't going to follow me. This time she's deep under the water with irons tied to her and her head bashed in. I'd never turn around again and find her sitting next to me. I'd never hear her calling Johnny again. I'd never see her eyes or her thin body again. Clouds are pressing down now. No more moon. Thunder's purring closer like a big cat. I don't care. I'm through with her forever now. I'm so happy I could sing. Oh, no. The skies are opening up. The lights turning off and on like God's neon sign. The thunder's pounding in my head. I go faster. Hit a curve. Take it at 60. Standing there, lit by the light, and it's... Gas pedal down to the floor. The motor's roaring like 100 horses screaming. We're pulling up the hill with rain slamming against the window pane like a million fingers tapping on my brain. The top of the hill swept by the wind, her wet dress plastered against her body. I can't take it. I can't take it much more. The car's sliding down the wet road like death on butter, and she's there all the time now. Running with the car, face plastered against the closed window next to my seat.
Johnny.
Ann, you're dead.
Am I, Johnny?
You're dead. I killed you. Don't you remember?
No, Johnny.
Back there, I hit you. I dropped you into the water. I hit you. You're dead.
Am I, Johnny?
No, not now, Ann. Please, please.
Aren't you tired, Johnny? Tired of running away? Isn't the road too long? The road away from me?
Go away. Go away, Ann.
No.
You want to drive me mad?
No, Johnny.
Then what do you want?
Just to go with you to the end of your road.
But where's that?
Why, maybe here. Maybe right here. In this town, Johnny. In this town.
Yes. It's a town. small place, and I'm riding through it. The storm's dying out. Dying out. Yeah, and the air's clear now, fresh after the storm. And? No, she's gone. Now, the thing is, where? Oh, right up ahead. Sure. They always have one. Yeah, with a green light shining over the door. And they're always open. And there's always a sergeant half.
The Myuu Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler, written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Coben, and starring three of radio's foremost actors, Brett Morrison, Joyce Gordon, and Leon Jenney, in Fire in the Sky.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we join two young people who find themselves in the strangest situation human beings ever encountered. It's the story I call Fire in the Sky. It's late evening, and a convertible with the top down is driving along a lonely road in the Shenandoah Valley. The driver is young, in his 20s. So is the girl beside him. They're Mr. and Mrs. Nicholas Ramsey of New York City, married less than 24 hours and honeymooning. Nick Ramsey is driving slowly, for both he and Sally are watching the great golden disk which is rising in the sky above the hills to the west. Not the moon, but the new comet which the whole world is talking about with excited interest and some apprehension.
Nick, it's so bright. It's grown much brighter since last night.
Yes, I know. Seems to be about half as big as the moon now. You can almost see it grow.
It looks as if it were coming right at us.
Well, that's just an illusion. It'll pass about 15 million miles away, the radio said.
15 million. It sounds like a lot. But I wish it were more.
No, they said it wouldn't do much damage even if it hit us head on. Comets are mostly gas, you know.
Oh, it certainly looks solid. It is beautiful, though, isn't it? I'm glad we decided to drive tonight so we could watch it.
Let's turn on the news and see what the radio says about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try Washington. Danny Dunn has been giving a blow-by-blow account of its approach.
So everybody is aware, this is your feature reporter, Danny Dunn, speaking from Washington. Well, the big news tonight is still Comet X, as it's been nicknamed. Tonight it seems it's going to pass little old Earth a bit closer than was thought. Maybe inside 10 million miles. But it's nothing to worry about. Can't hurt us any. A comet is just gas, you know. Like some congressman here in Washington. Oh, speaking of Washington, the president and his cabinet quietly left town today with their families. We're told they're going to a special government observatory where they can all see Comet X through telescopes. Well, that just shows you how interested everybody is. The rest of the world is standing outdoors tonight, keeping an eye on the sky. After all, this is a spectacle mankind sees only once in 1,000 years, and nobody wants to miss it. Well, folks, the government has asked me to pass along the following to you. Don't be alarmed if Comet X seems to be getting awfully close.
I guess there's nothing new. I'll
It's
turn
just
it on.
an optical illusion.
Nick, look up ahead. Somebody's signaling us with a flashlight.
Yeah, it looks like an old codger, one of the local natives, I guess.
Oh, do you think we ought to stop? Such a lonely road.
Oh, he probably just wants a lift. Anyway, he's so old he couldn't hurt us any. Hello, you want a lift?
Morning, folks. Mighty glad you come along. I need some help back.
Help?
It's my partner. Rock slide fell on him, crushed his chest in. He's down in the mine. I need help to get him out.
You're a miner?
That's right, ma'am. Name's Jones. Jerry Jones. We got us a mine up this road about a quarter of a mile. Poor Sam hurt himself an hour ago. Been waiting ever since for somebody to come along.
Well, Sally, I guess it's up to us. We can't leave some poor fellow dying and not help.
But, Nick, are you sure?
I'm sure it's all right. Okay, hop in, Mr. Jones. We'll have your partner out just as quick as we can.
Yeah, here we are, folks. The little shack covers the mine shaft.
Well, come along, Sally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry we haven't any first aid equipment, Mr. Jones.
Well, got some down below. This way, Mr. Ramsey. You have to go down on the lift.
Nick, look how bright it is. This comet seems to be growing bigger by the minute.
Yeah, here we are. Step inside, folks. I got the flashlight.
Huh. We've got a regular mine lift in here. Machinery and everything. What kind of mine is this?
It used to be a coal mine. Got abandoned. Me and Sam, we found a little vein of diamonds down in the coal.
Diamonds?
Now, wait a minute. There aren't any diamond mines in this country.
Sure there is. Got some down below. Prove it to you after we fix up, Sam. Please step on the lift, Mr. Ramsey.
Nick, I think this is a trick.
So do I. A diamond mine. Listen, Jones. Coal and diamonds don't go together, even though they're both carbon. So we're not getting on that lift.
I'm afraid you'll have to, Mr. Ramsey. Believe me, I'll shoot if you try to get away.
Nick, a gun.
Now, listen, put away that revolver. I don't know what kind of crazy scheme this is,
It's not crazy. I'm trying to save your life.
Save our lives.
You see that comet in the sky?
Yes?
They're calling it Comet X. They should be calling it Doomsday.
You are crazy.
That's enough talk. In 14 hours, this Earth and that comet are going to meet, and time is precious. Get on that lift, Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, or I'll shoot. Believe me, no harm will come to you if you do just as I say.
Well, I guess we'd better do it, Sally. There's no use in arguing with a madman who has a gun.
Oh, if you say so, Nick.
Now, that's better. Now, hold on tightly. Don't do anything foolish. If you don't know how to operate this lift, then we have a 1,000-foot drop below us.
We've been going down for so long now.
We're almost at the bottom, Mrs. Ramsey. Please don't be frightened. I'm doing this for your own good.
Say, who are you? You're not a native. You lost your hillbilly accent long ago.
No, I'm not. It was just a crude disguise. My name is Jeremiah Jones, formerly Professor Jones. We've reached bottom. The surface of the Earth is 1,000 feet above us. Now, Mr. Ramsey, if you and your wife try to attack me, you might succeed. It would be very foolish. You'll need me to get you out of here again.
Yes, I suppose that's right.
Very well. Please walk quietly ahead of me. These old mine shafts are quite level. I'll shine my flashlight ahead, and you won't have any difficulty.
I suppose we have to humor you, but why are you doing this? What are you up to?
You won't believe me if I tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, that you two are the most important people in the world tonight. So just walk ahead of me, and we'll have the explanations later.
How much further is it? All these tunnels are winding and twisting. Nick, I'm completely lost.
Listen, Jones, if that's your name, come to your senses. Take us back to the surface, and we'll forget this happened.
Careful, there's a door ahead of you.
Oh, yes.
Push it open and go in.
Well, shine your flashlight inside. We can't see a thing.
You'll find a light switch beside the door. Turn it on.
Nick, he's closed the door.
He's locking us in. Jones! Jones!
Please, Mr. Empty. Turn on the light and just wait calmly. I'll be back. I have to go to the surface now to see if I can rescue anyone else.
Jones! Jones! Oh, he's gone.
Nick, I'm frightened.
No, it'll be all right, Sally. I'm sure it will. There was a light switch, didn't he?
Yes.
Let's see if we can find it. It should be here beside the door. Maybe it's higher. There, I've got it. Good Lord.
Nick, we're in a room. Completely furnished.
Yeah.
Chairs, tables, electric lights. There's even a radio.
Through those archways, I can see a kitchen, another room. But this place is like a furnished apartment.
1,000 feet underground, with walls of solid rock. And he's locked us in here. But why, Nick, why?
I don't know, Sally. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Nick, what time is it? How long have we been down here?
2 a.m. We've been locked in here nearly 4 hours.
Nick, it's crazy. He's a madman. He must be.
I wonder. If he's mad, there's certainly a method in his madness.
But
look around you. This furniture, a radio, a kitchen. There must be a generator someplace to supply these lights.
That's what I mean. Only a madman would fix up an old abandoned mine like this.
You know, I've just placed his name. Professor Jeremiah Jones.
Who is he?
He's an obscure astronomer who 10 years ago claimed to have discovered a comet no one else could see. And he dropped out of sight.
He seems to have an obsession about comets. He said Comet X should be called Doomsday.
Yes, I know. And I can't help wondering. Let's turn on that radio again. I have a hunch we'll be getting some news soon. Real news.
All right. Nick, how can a radio work way down here underground?
He must have a wire running above to the surface.
It's just music.
So let's leave it on. Maybe a bulletin.
Hello, everybody. This is your special reporter, Danny Dunn, back with a very important bulletin.
Nick.
I've just come from a meeting at the Smithsonian Institute, and I have some last-minute news about our mysterious visitor, Comet X.
He's leading up to something.
Now, folks, I don't want to alarm you. Panic won't help anybody. But it looks as if there may be some danger after all. And it's only common sense to be prepared for it.
Oh, Nick.
It seems Comet X is not holding to the course predicted for it. Its orbit now intersects the Earth's. In about 10 hours, the Earth will pass through the glowing heart of the comet.
Just as Professor
But
Jones
I
told us.
repeat, there is no cause for undue alarm. I have Mr. Andrew Weatherby, head of the Scientific Bureau, here at the microphone to tell you in person what to expect. Mr. Weatherby.
Nick, give me your hand. I'm frightened.
Yes, this is big if they've got Weatherby himself on the air.
Good evening, everyone. As you all know, a comet is composed largely of glowing gases. Now, just what effect these gases may have when the Earth passes through them, we do not know. But we anticipate they will be so tenuous they will hardly be noticeable. However, accompanying the comet is a core of tiny particles of rock and iron. Now, these, entering our atmosphere, will cause a spectacular display of shooting stars and may do some damage.
I'll bet.
Accordingly, the government is asking everyone to take the following precautions. Within the next 8 hours, take shelter, underground if possible. Otherwise, in cellars or in air-raid shelters. Take with you all the food and water you can manage. Take bedding, warm clothes, and be prepared to stay under shelter for at least 48 hours. Begin your preparations now. You will receive further instructions by radio. But above all, remain calm. Well, folks, this is Danny Dunn again. I'll be standing by all night long to bring you the latest. Keep tuned in, and don't worry. This will be a great story to tell your grandchildren. So long for now.
Nick, there's something they're not telling us. I'm sure of it. Do you suppose that the
Professor Jones back. Why, Professor.
Nick, he has 2 little children with him. Oh, one of them's just a baby. A little girl. Here, give it to me. Yeah, it's all right. You mustn't cry. Everything's all right.
Thank you. Now, if you, Mr. Ramsey, can take this little boy. Fortunately, he's still sleeping.
Yes, let me have him. I've got him. Now, you sit down. You're all in, and there's blood on your coat.
I'm afraid I've been shot.
Oh. I'll put the boy on the couch there. Yes, he's still sleeping soundly. Now, let me look at you. Let me get this coat off. Oh, I'm sorry, but it's got to come off. There. Oh, you've lost a lot of blood.
Yes, I know it. Too much, I'm afraid.
You'll have to cut your shirt loose and fix a bandage. Sally, can you help me?
Oh, yes. Baby's gone back to sleep. I'll put her down on the couch, too. There. Now, what shall I do, Nick?
I'm going to cut away the shirt. You pull it loose as I cut.
All right.
How did you get shot, Professor, and where did you get those children?
I went out to bring back more people to this shelter. There are no cars on the road. I went to a house a mile or so away. Family and some visitors were out in the lawn watching the comet.
That's fine, Sally. Now give me something to wipe away the blood.
Oh, here, my scarf.
I knew if I tried to persuade them, they'd think I was crazy. I saw the children, a boy and a girl, asleep in the back room. I stole them. The baby woke up and cried. Somebody shot at me. I got away in the darkness.
Catch him, Nick.
I've got him. Help me ease him into this chair.
All right.
He's passed out from loss of blood. And here we are, stuck down in an old mine 1,000 feet underground with 2 children that he's taken from their family.
Mr. Ramsey.
Here I am. So you're awake. How are you feeling?
Very weak, I'm afraid. How are the children?
Oh, they're fine. Luckily, they're too young to be scared. Sally's out in the kitchen feeding them. Now, look here, Professor. It's one thing to lure us down here. It's another thing to steal 2 babies and bring them in.
Mr. Ramsey. Face the facts. Haven't I convinced you the entire world is in grave danger?
Danger? From what? A few chunks of stone that may be part of a comet? The radio last night admitted some damage might be done.
Some damage? What do the broadcasts say now?
I don't know. We haven't listened. After we got you into bed last night and took care of the children, Sally and I just fell asleep. Since we woke up, we've been so busy we haven't had a chance to listen.
Then turn on the radio now. Let's listen.
Of course. While you were gone, Andrew Weatherby urged everyone to take shelter for a few days.
So, everybody, this is Dan Dunn, sleepy, but still on the job. Well, I guess you won't find anything else on the radio this morning except the comet. It's so bright you can see it blazing away in the morning sky like a baby sun. It's about 4 hours before its path intersects ours.
4 hours?
I repeat again the official advice. Take shelter. Stay under cover for the next few days, but don't panic. Panic is more dangerous than the comet, believe me. I have to admit that a lot of people have unfortunately lost their heads the last few hours. Roads leading out of every city are clogged with refugees trying to get away. A good many people have been killed in the crush of crowds fleeing the cities. We have reports of hundreds of auto accidents, some looting. Fires are burning unchecked in a number of places. Firemen are fleeing with the others. Washington this morning is a deserted city. So many people here have autos, you know, and they were able to get away. All the air raid shelters are full. People in them are being very calm about it. Our news from other places is a bit scanty. Some lines are down. And I'll keep bringing you all the bulletins as they come in. Right now, I've got to get a little rest, so this is Dan Dunn, signing off temporarily, folks.
Well, are you convinced now, Mr. Ramsey?
Oh, people are losing their heads because they're scared. But that still doesn't say the comet is actually dangerous to the Earth.
Yes, I know. It wouldn't be if it was just an ordinary comet. But it isn't.
Well, what is it then?
Mr. Ramsey, the fiery head of Comet X is radioactive.
Radioactive?
It will envelop the world in a searing bath of atomic fire. In a dozen hours, civilization will have come to an end.
How's the professor, Nick?
Unconscious. His fever is high, and he's in a delirium. The pulse is very weak.
If only we could do something for him.
I've done what I could from the medicine chest. In his mind now, he's reliving the time 10 years ago when he first discovered Comet X and predicted that it was radioactive.
He predicted that?
Yes. Yes, we had quite a talk while you were busy with the two kids. He was an obscure professor of astronomy in a little college. He found a speck of light wandering around in the sky, identified it as a comet, analyzed it as being radioactive, and predicted that on its next visit it would strike the Earth.
And nobody believed him?
Well, the comet had vanished by then. Everybody thought he'd imagined it. And when he claimed it was radioactive and would destroy civilization, that was too much. He was fired, he had a breakdown, and was in an institution for years.
Oh, yes. Now I remember. I read something about it years ago. But the war was on,
And people had other things to think about. Everybody forgot Professor Jones and the comet. You see, the atomic bomb hadn't been developed then, so the idea of an atomic comet was considered plain crazy.
Now it's come true. Oh, Nick.
Yeah. Well, let's turn the radio on again, see if Danny Dunn is still broadcasting.
All right. What time is it?
Well, my watch says 8. Must be 8 at night. No way to be sure way down here underground.
Well, everybody, I don't guess there's much more I can say. We're broadcasting from the sub-basement of the building. There's about 6 of us locked in here. I don't know how much longer we can hold out. We haven't had any communication from outside Washington for the last hour. All wires are dead. Can't pick up any other radio broadcast. Washington's a dead city now. It's a weird sight. We have a television camera hooked up on the roof. Shows all of the big government buildings outlined by a ghostly, greenish light. Luminous gas surrounding the head of Comet X. We're right in the middle of the comet now. Be about 6 hours before it starts to withdraw. Anybody who can hear me, stay underground as long as you possibly can. Don't come out. The radioactivity will be deadly for a long time yet. Estimates vary. One guess was that our Earth will be poisoned for 20 years to come. In that case, our power seems to be failing. I guess we'll have to sign off now. So long, everybody.
She's gone up the air.
Nick, think of the whole world dead.
Now, wait a minute, darling. There's bound to be millions of people in safe places like we are. Caves, tunnels, old mines.
Yes, but did you hear what he said? The Earth may be poisoned by radioactivity for years.
Yes?
Ramsey,
Yes, Professor?
I'd like some water.
Of course.
I'll bring it. Here you are, Professor Jones.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
My head is clear, but I'm very weak. How long was I unconscious?
Almost 2 days.
2 days. And the comet
Has come and gone.
and the world.
The radio's dead. We can't pick up anything.
The last report from Washington said it was a dead city.
If only they'd listened to me 10 years ago.
Now, you mustn't upset yourself, Professor. You did everything one man could.
Yes. When I was released from that institution last year, I set about fixing up this refuge. I bought the old mine. All by myself, I brought down furnishings, machinery, food. When I tried to get a few people to join me here, they thought I was insane again.
We understand, Professor.
In the end, I had to resort to desperate trickery, which got you here.
And we're very grateful for it, sir.
And I stole 2 children, a boy and a girl. Out of the whole world, you 4 are all I saved.
But there must be other people alive somewhere.
Yes, of course, now. By the time the surface of the Earth is livable again.
Will it really be 20 years?
Yes, Mrs. Ramsey. Between 15 and 20 years before the human race can once again live on the Earth's surface.
But in even 15 years, the people who are still alive now...
Exactly. Some will live. Human race is very tough. But they may be terribly changed. To reestablish civilization, we can only be sure of you four.
Oh, no.
My dear, you mustn't be dismayed. I've planned carefully. There's everything you'll need for 20 years down in this cabin. Medicine, food, clothing, books, gasoline. You must not go above ground until it is absolutely safe. Then you will find the world changed. Animal life, plant life, it may have been altered greatly by the radioactivity, but it will be safe then.
Professor, you're too weak to talk.
No, I must talk now. I haven't much more time.
Of course, you'd have you going to get well, Professor. We need you.
I wish I could, but I won't. And now listen. Build for a better world. We seem to have gotten off the track somehow. Maybe nature simply decided to be done with us when she sent that comet. I don't know. But this is a chance to start over again and do better.
Professor Jones.
Nick, he's not...
I'm afraid he is. He's dead, darling.
We're left. You and me. Down here 1,000 feet underground. We have to live here. 20 years or more. Oh, no, Nick, no.
Now, you can't give way, Sally. We've got too much to do. Listen.
It's baby. I've got to go to him.
That's what I mean. We have to take good care of those kids.
Yes, of course, Nick. Of course we do.
And we'll have to give them names. We could call them Adam and Eve, but let's not. Suppose we just call them Johnny and Susie.
Yes, Nick. All right, Susie. I'm coming. I'm coming.
This is the mysterious traveler again. I wonder if you'd help me check up on something. Would you just step outside and have a look at the sky? There's a speck of light up there, just to the right of the North Star. It wasn't there last night, and I was just wondering if you... Oh, but it couldn't be a comet. Of course not. And even if it is, I'm sure we're in no danger. Of course, if you'd like to know the location of a nice, deep cave... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time. Just heard The Mysterious Traveler with Maurice Tarplin in the title role. Others in our cast were Brett Morrison, Joyce Gordon, and Leon Janney. Original music played by Fred Mendelssohn. All characters in our story were fictional, and any resemblance to actual persons in name or otherwise was purely coincidental. Bill Taunton speaking. This program has come to you from New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to Yucatan with a man and woman who dare defy the curse of the ancient priests of Maya to find a hidden jungle shrine and millions in jewels and gold. As Les Crutchfield and Paul Pierce tell it in The Golden Snake.
It was mid-morning of the fourth day south from New Orleans when the rusty little freighter Carib Lady dropped a hook a mile off the port of Progreso and a broad-beam tender warped alongside. The port itself and the jungle peninsula of Yucatan beyond lay in a steamy lethargy beneath an early blazing tropic sun. I was in a hurry. I wanted customs clearance as quickly as possible for myself and the helicopter I brought with me. And then I wanted a few bottles of that subtly bitter beer that they brew in Monterey. My mysterious employer, Dr. Conrad, was waiting at the Itza Hotel in Merida, 24 miles inland. But in heat like this, he could wait a few hours longer.
I beg your pardon.
Well.
I presume you're Stephen Lane.
Yeah, good presumption. You're right.
Well, I'm Gail Barry.
Hello, Gail.
I'm Dr. Conrad's secretary.
Oh? I begin to see how the jungle might have certain compensations.
Oh, you better slow down, Mr. Lane. You're going pretty fast, even for a pilot.
Helicopter pilot. Not so much on speed, but I do a lot of hovering, especially around green-eyed girls and cold bottles of beer. Would the former like to join me over the ladder?
I hope you can hang on to that sense of humor. You'll need it before this is over.
Before what's over?
A little late for curiosity, isn't it? You've already taken the job.
Yeah, sure. I was flat broke. When that $1,500 check of Conrad's went through the Miami bank like greased lightning, I pulled out my curiosity and cut its throat.
But now it's beginning to revive. Is that it?
I'm sorry, baby. I didn't know this was a state secret.
It isn't. You were hired to fly Dr. Conrad from Merida to a destination within a 200-mile radius and return for a fee of $5,000. What's secret about it?
Purpose of this trip, for one thing.
To visit ancient Mayan ruins buried in the jungle and only accessible by helicopter. Dr. Conrad is an archaeologist.
Must be a fairly profitable racket.
No, there's no profit in it at all.
Oh?
But, Steve, you said you were broke. Would a lot of money interest you? A lot more than $5,000?
How much more?
100 times that much.
Yeah? Yeah, I'd be interested. So?
Check through customs. And let's have that bottle of beer.
We had the beer, all right. But we didn't have any more conversation about money. Gail was beautiful, vivacious, and talkative, but on that subject, she clammed up tight. But at certain times and with certain people, money isn't everything. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon before we took off in the helicopter and flew south to Merida and Dr. Conrad.
You can look down from this balcony, Mr. Lane, and there lies the town of Merida, all silver in the moonlight. And you think it is nothing unusual, perhaps, but the town is Spanish, and beyond it is the jungle. And the jungle is still pure Mayan.
Unconquered, old, and wise. Yeah, I've heard that theory before, Dr. Conrad.
And you disagree with it, perhaps?
I don't know. I've been watching some of the natives around the hotel here this evening, and there is something about their expression or their eyes. I don't know.
Well, I've spent my life studying them, and I do know, Mr. Lane. The Mayans are one of the oldest and strangest races on the face of the earth. The jungle out there swallowed up their pyramids and their temples long ago, and the Spanish conquerors destroyed their records and writings. But they still speak the language, and they still remember. I think it's something in their eyes, as you noticed.
About the trip that we're going on, is it to one of these ruined temples or pyramids?
Yes.
Where?
South and east, more or less. Within 200 miles of here. We'll have to follow landmarks.
You've been there before, then?
Yes. There are no trails and no water. Snakes, army ants, fever. Average progress is 2 miles a day.
And I assume that the purpose of the trip is archaeological exploration?
Of course, Mr. Lane. I would have no...
Dr. Conrad, I checked the invoices for the equipment. They're all correct. I left them in your room.
Fine. Thank you, Miss Barry. I'll sign them later.
All right, Dr. Conrad. I'll be in my room if you want me for anything. Good night, Mr. Lane.
Oh, good night, Miss Barry. Look, Dr. Conrad, I think it's about time you told me the real purpose of this trip. Huh?
But I did tell you. What makes you think that there
Look, $5,000 is too much money for a 3-day flying trip to look over some ruins. So?
Mr. Lane, can you keep your mouth shut?
That depends.
There'll be more in it than $5,000 if it goes all right.
Illegal, I suppose?
No, but dangerous. More dangerous than you can ever imagine.
What kind of danger?
From the Mayans. This involves a violation of the most sacred shrine in their history, the theft of their most sacred object, one they won't even admit exists.
Oh, treasure hunt, huh?
Not a hunt, Mr. Lane. I've seen the object. I know where it is.
Is Miss Barry in on this?
She's merely the secretary of a scientific expedition. You and I are the only ones who know different.
What about the men who were with you before?
They were interested only in the ruins. They never saw the treasure.
Yeah, but they do know the location of the place.
No, Mr. Lane. Not anymore.
Well, why not?
Because all 4 of them are dead.
Yes, I can also tell you why Dr. Conrad didn't want to talk about it, Steve. It's because of that obsession of his, that fear of the Mayans and their vengeance.
Yeah, but you feel it yourself. You told me earlier.
No, not fear. Something else. Something deeper. Oh, Steve, please, get out of my room now. If Dr. Conrad found you in here, it would ruin everything.
Honey, look, if I'm going to play games, I've got to know the odds.
But I've already told you Dr. Conrad had nothing to do with their death.
I know. 4 fatal accidents within a year. What kind of accidents?
Different kinds. The first one happened 6 months after the joint expedition. Dr. Bentley and the original pilot took off from Merida and crashed in the jungle 10 miles from town. They were both killed. The native guide got out with a broken leg.
I see.
2 months later, Dr. Pelton started overland through the jungle. A week out of Merida, he was bitten by a snake and died at one of the native Chicle camps.
And the other man?
His name was Dr. Blom. He tried to come north from Guatemala by canoe and was drowned when it capsized.
Oh, by himself, was he?
No. His native guide recovered the body.
Native guide. In every case, it was a Mayan native. In at the death, you might say.
Yes. That's what worries Dr. Conrad.
Look, were all of these men trying to get back to that same temple?
I think so.
Because of the treasure?
Probably. They knew they'd found the long-lost temple of Kukulkan, and they knew the legends.
All right. Where do you fit in?
What's the difference, Steve? You don't mind, do you?
Mine? I like it. I also like to know the score.
I'll do better by you than Conrad would. Much better.
All right, baby. I'll buy that. Only there's one thing. Conrad hasn't told us to anybody before. How did you find out?
From my father, Steve. Before he was drowned in a river in Guatemala. My real name is Blom.
Yeah, I'd figured. Even though she'd never been to Yucatan before, she'd learned enough Mayan history and legend from her father to worm her way into Conrad's employ. The treasure, whatever it was, belonged to her as much as to Conrad. And given halfway even odds, I'd rather play Gail's game any day in the week, and twice on Sundays. I lay on the hammock in my room for an hour, I guess. The lamp out, the moonlight splotching silver patterns through the bamboo slats of the blinds. I smoked one cigarette after another while I tried to fit all the pieces into place. I was tired, but I'd had several drinks of Johnny Walker that I'd brought along, and I wasn't asleep. That's for sure. So I don't know why I didn't hear the door open.
Please do not be alarmed, Senor Lane.
What?
Lie still, make no outcry, and listen. You will not be harmed.
For some odd reason, I couldn't move. I couldn't cry out. It took great effort just to turn my head and look at him.
It is our desire to warn you because you are not aware of the thing you dare to do. Dr. Conrad knows, and he deserves no warning.
In the scattered moonlight, I could see very little of his face except the eyes. The eyes of a Mayan. They seem very wise and 1,000 years old, like the eyes of newborn babies.
I say to you once, and only once, go not to the temple of Kukulkan.
There seemed to be a strange music playing far off.
The plumed serpent of gold must lie hidden for 5,000 years, and the time is not yet. To alter the time is to die.
For just an instant, the moonlight shifted, and I saw the golden band around his forehead, raised in the front and fashioned into the feathered head of a snake.
You have been warned, Senor Lane. I go.
The closing of the door seemed to break the spell, and I lunged for the pistol on the table beside my bed. Only it wasn't a bed, it was a hammer. Oh, confound!
Senor Lane.
Oh.
Senor Lane, is anything wrong?
Oh.
Senor Lane.
Come on in.
I was passing along the hall and heard the noise.
Who are you, anyway?
Rodolfo Moreno. I am the night collector.
Look, did you see the man who came out of my door just before the noise?
What, senor? No one came out.
What?
Well, I was only a few feet away. The hall is well lighted.
But there was someone in here. I saw him. I heard him talking. He was a Mayan.
Senor Lane, sometimes one from the north requires a day or two for becoming accustomed to the tropics. And I must tell you, the beer in Mexico is a little more strong than you may think.
No, wait a minute.
So you sleep now, we talk about it mañana, eh? Buenas noches, senor. Buenas noches.
There wasn't much point in doing anything but follow the night clerk's advice. I couldn't very well go to Conrad and tell him a mysterious Mayan had come to my room to warn me, when the clerk had sworn he'd seen no one. I didn't see how Gail could help much. I didn't want to worry her without some definite reason. So, after a long time, I grew drowsy and fell asleep.
Senor Lane, wake up.
What?
It is I, Moreno. Wake up, senor.
All right. Wait a minute. What is it, Moreno? What's wrong?
Your friend, senor. Dr. Conrad. His heart, I think.
What? What do you mean?
Well, I hear him cry out. I go for help, but it was too late, senor. He is dead.
In just a moment, we will return you to the second act of Escape. But first, Molly Goldberg's warm-hearted approach to life has gotten her into mix-ups over and over. But this Saturday night, Molly really shoots the works. Molly and Jake have planned a motor trip to Florida. But when the people who've been invited to ride along get together, Grand Central Station couldn't hold them all. What happens to the trip? Be listening this Saturday night when the Goldbergs bring their warm, rich humor to most of these same CBS stations. And now, for the second act of Escape.
I went with the night clerk to Dr. Conrad's room. Met the local physician who'd been called to the hotel. Told him to go ahead with whatever arrangements were necessary. There seemed nothing else to do. Dr. Conrad had died in his bed, apparently unmolested. His room was undisturbed, and Moreno, who from his desk had a clear view of the length of the hall, said that no one had entered or left. Apparent cause of death, heart failure. But in a room a half hour later, Gail disagreed with such a simple verdict.
There was nothing wrong with his heart, Steve. He died of fright. Sheer fright. I know he did.
All right, honey, all right. But what caused the fright?
The Mayans. Maybe the same one you said came to your room.
No, I'm not sure whether anyone did or not. Maybe the night clerk was right. Maybe I imagined it.
He is a native, you know.
Another Mayan, huh? Well, I could have been dreaming, or drunk. I don't know.
It won't work, Steve. How could you have dreamed up the gold band he wore on his head? The same band worn by the high priest of Kukulkan 1,000 years ago.
I don't know. That's what gets me.
Had you even heard of the plumed serpent of gold before?
No.
Or the 5,000 years of hiding?
No, of course not.
They're all a part of Mayan legends, Steve. You had to learn them somewhere.
Gail, you said Conrad had an obsession. What about you?
I don't know. Before I came to Yucatan, I had only one idea. To get my share of that treasure one way or another. Mayan legends were nothing more than that. But down here, it's different. Things touch you somehow. Inside.
You mean you're scared, isn't that it?
Not exactly. It's something deeper. I don't know.
And against that something deeper, there are how many dollars?
Around 2 million, I think, from things Dr. Conrad let slip.
How did he plan to dispose of them?
There's a buyer in Mexico City. No questions asked. Conrad wanted his name kept out of it.
Native vengeance again, huh?
Yes.
Look, would this buyer deal with us?
Of course. Why should he care who brings it?
Do you know the landmarks to the pyramid? This temple of Kukulkan?
Yes, but... Steve, I am not sure, but...
Look, honey, look. I've got a helicopter out there at the edge of town. Within 200 miles is a fortune for the taking. Baby, I've been broke too much of my life to back down from a few pipe dreams and a heart attack. How about it, baby, huh?
Oh, it's no fun to be broke.
Yeah, but it might be a lot of fun if we weren't.
You're awfully hard to resist.
Oh, I hope so, baby. Because I've got some other ideas, too, you know. What do you say?
Oh, if I said no, I'd be a fool, I suppose.
Oh, then don't say it. We'll both be over the jitters by morning. And one thing, we won't have to worry about accidents. Our expedition won't have any Mayans along.
Oh, Steve, I told you Dr. Blom was my father. He met my mother in Mexico City. She died right after I was born. But she came originally from Yucatan. And she was a Mayan.
Can you tell now, Gail? Are you sure this is it? We won't land if you're not.
I think so. There's the old stone roadbed in the jungle to the south. The pyramid runs southeast-northwest. The temple ruins are at the north. The jungle has grown up over the west slope. All the landmarks check, Steve. This is it.
All right, honey, hang on. We're going down. The Mayans didn't know it, but when they built these pyramids flat top, they were getting ready for the helicopters. We're down.
It's terribly quiet, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, especially after hearing that egg beater for the last 3 hours. Well, may as well have a look. Come on, jump, baby. I'll give you a hand.
Thanks.
Well, they've certainly let the old place run down.
It's lain here like this for more than 1,000 years, Steve. Full moons and dark moons, rains, lightning, sun and wind. Nothing moving. Only the jungle, growing and growing and creeping up over it.
Hey, now, baby, relax.
We shouldn't have come here at all. We are only interlopers, strangers, not wanted.
Well, maybe they like us better when we're rich, huh?
There's no use joking about it, Steve. I think you feel it, too. We are in some terrible danger here, some kind we've never known before. It's like we're being watched. Only there are no watchers.
Well, not unless you count that parrot there in the lianas.
A parrot. A feathered bird. A feathered snake.
Now, look, Gail, look, we've talked this all out. We're here now. We're going to go through with it. I admit that I feel just as... Well, this morbid talk of yours isn't helping anything.
I'm sorry, Steve. I feel so strange. Oh, it's just nerves. Forget it.
Okay, baby. It's a deal. Come on. Let's go find that cave. Gail had learned from Dr. Conrad that the treasure lay in a chamber inside the pyramid, reached by a tunnel which opened somewhere along the west face. And the length of rope he'd specified in the equipment, we knew about how far down the west face. So we started working our way along at that level. Gail carried the rope, flashlights, and a hacksaw, while I swung a machete against the lush growth of jungle that made every yard of progress a measure of hard work and sweat. It was late afternoon before I slashed through a green thicket of banana palms and saw it before me. Black and forbidding. Framed in hieroglyphic stone was the squat, square mouth of the tunnel. Its floor was paved with bricks velveted in green moss, undertrodden for centuries. A cool draft floated out against the jungle heat, inviting and repelling. Gail and I looked at one another for a long moment, saying nothing. And then, flashlights in hand, we walked into the tunnel. Careful, honey, careful. The ceiling's low in places.
I'm watching, Steve. There may be snakes.
Our boots ought to protect us. Seems to be widening out a little.
I think maybe... Yes. There's a room right ahead, Steve.
Good. Wonder if there's anybody home.
Steve, don't joke, please.
No, I'm sorry, honey. Here we are.
Oh, it's a big room.
Yeah. I'll say it is, and I wonder where it's...
Steve! Swing your light over there. Look.
On a raised stone dais in the center of the cave, gleaming and glittering in the blaze of our lights, was a great figure wrought in plates of pure gold. A massive golden snake studded and jeweled with feathers of cut emerald.
Steve, it's Kukulkan, the plumed serpent of gold.
$2 million, baby. $3 million is closer, maybe $4. Why, the gold alone and those emeralds.
Let's go now. Now, Steve, before it's too late.
It must weigh a ton. Now I see why Conrad included hacksaws in the equipment. Here, honey, you owe my life.
What are you going to do?
Old money bags has to be cut up before we can pack them out. May as well see how much of a job it'll be.
Steve! No!
Yeah, what's the matter?
There's something here. Something old and wise and powerful. It's watching us. I can feel it.
Oh, now wait, baby. Don't...
Anyway, it's really too late to do anything today. We've seen it now, Steve. Let's leave it just the way it is. Just until tomorrow. It's almost dark now. Please. Please, Steve.
All right, Gail, all right. Come on, let's get out of here. I pitched our camp on the level top of the pyramid, not far from the helicopter. Spread our sleeping bags and built a fire in a pile of stones. It was dark by the time we'd eaten, and a round full moon flooded the ruins and the miles of empty jungle with an eerie light. I lay back and I watched Gail sitting across the fire from me, staring into the strange night, lost in her own thoughts. An odd thing had happened while I was gathering rocks for the fireplace. I lifted a large flat stone and found under it a golden band like the one worn by the Mayan who'd come to my room. Gail had put it on her head without a word, and it fit perfectly. She still wore it, and now and then the polished gold caught flashes of light from the fire and from the moon. It was very late when I drifted off to sleep. It must have been a sound that woke me, but I think it was the odor that seeped into my sleep. That was it, the odor. Pungent, aromatic, and for a moment, unidentifiable. And then I came suddenly awake, saw by the fire's embers that Gail's sleeping bag was empty. I sprang to my feet. At the moment, I recognized the odor of raw gasoline. Saw the dark surface of the helicopter glistening and wet in the moonlight, and saw Gail walking toward it with a flaming stalk of dry thatch in her hand. Gail, what are you doing? No, stop it! She paid no attention, stood like a sleepwalker watching the burning plane she'd set afire, the golden band gleaming on her forehead. Then I was running, stumbling headlong toward her. Gail, come back, Gail! She didn't hear me. She moved slowly away, looking towards something that I couldn't see beyond the fire. Nor did I see the vine that caught my foot and sent me crashing onto the sharp rocks. I lay there on the ground, unable to move, half blinded by concussion. By the blood that ran into my eyes, I tried to call out again and could make no sound. I could see Gail moving away past the burning plane, swaying as she walked, trance-like and alien. I seemed to hear again the weird music of Merida far off somewhere in the night. And then, in truth or in delirium, in the shadows, past the fire, I saw them. Saw them waiting for Gail. They were clothed in white, and their eyes were Mayan, wise and old and powerful. And on each forehead gleamed a golden band, the high priests of Kukulkan.
Senor, you feel better now, no?
Better? I don't know. Who are you?
Only a poor farmer, senor.
Farmer? Where am I?
In my casa, senor. You have been very ill from a bad wound to the head.
But how did I get here?
3 days ago, you come from the jungle, fell at my door. I take care of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sometimes you fight with me, say crazy words. But I know it is only the head is broken.
I was running. I fell against a rock. I just can't remember much after that.
No matter, senor. Tomorrow I take you to Merida.
To Merida? But how can you?
But so simple. In my cart with the burro. It is only 7 miles.
7 miles? But I was 200 miles from here.
Quien sabe, senor. 3 days ago you come out from the jungle.
Tell me something. Are you a Mexican?
Pues, senor, I am a citizen of Mexico, but by birth, I am Mayan.
I have flown 5 times since into Yucatan, into the dark lands and the uncharted jungles. I've searched through tumbled ruins, moss-grown, rotted. I've built fires on ancient pyramids at night and cried aloud to the silent moon. But never again found the temple of Kukulkan, nor the plumed serpent of gold, or a beautiful girl named Gail. And I know I never will.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robson. Tonight we have presented The Golden Snake, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield from an original story by Paul Pierce. Featured in the cast were Anthony Barrett as Steve Lane, Jeanette Nolan as Gail Barry, and John Hoyt as Dr. Conrad. Also heard were Rick Vallon, Harry Bartell, and Paul Freese. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week...
You are stranded on the Yangtze River, 1,500 miles from Shanghai, and in the midst of all the displaced humanity of China, somehow you have been marked for destruction from which there is no escape.
Next week, we escape with an exciting tale of fear, intrigue, and danger on one of the most colorful rivers of the world, as John and Gwen Bagney tell it in The Shanghai Document. CBS famous anti-crime series Gangbusters presents a real-life police story, The Case of the Wise Young Owl, this Saturday night. Remember to be tuned in to CBS, where Arthur Godfrey's digest of wit and humor is heard every Saturday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Well, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank you all for listening. And remember, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/terror1970, or you can find me on Instagram at Radio Show Nerd, or on Blue Sky at Terror Radio. I also have a YouTube channel, Terror Radio. Please check it out. Like and subscribe. Share the videos. It will be highly appreciated. Again, taking a quick or short hiatus, if you will, and we'll be back with a brand new season on March 1st. This is your host, Keith, better known as the Radio Show Nerd, signing off. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.